Another BBL, or is this the same BBL? If this is the same one, I don't know. It just looks really weird. I don't know if it's because after she had all her kids, like, you know, her body started to change and, like, you know, expand or whatever. But this BBL on her, it looks really different. Like, her legs look super, super tiny and her butt is, like, super, super big. BBLs are getting out of control. Like, she looked really, really good before. Like, I don't know what happened, though. Like, I don't know if it's just from her last baby that kind of, like, expanded her a little bit, or if she just went and got another round. Like, I don't know. And I feel like she's been out of the limelight just a little bit. Like, I feel like I haven't really been seeing her much. So, like, does that have something to do with her surgeries? Or she just, you know, out the mix? I don't know. But let me know. Because I just seen her performing when she had on that blue little bodysuit. And I'm like, this looks really weird. Like, her legs are tiny. Her butt is humongous. And it just looks unproportioned. And I don't remember her looking like that. So either, like I said, she got another round, or them kids, you know, when she had her kids, it kind of expanded her a little bit. One of the two.
The TikTok. So it looks like Cardi B is in the middle of yet another wild social media storm. And this time, it's all about her body, her BBL, and some serious rumors that just won't quit. Everything kicked off when a TikTok user came out and made some blunt comments about Cardi's body, specifically pointing out how her butt looked super big while her legs seemed tiny in comparison. The video quickly went viral, and suddenly, the internet was once again focused on Cardi's BBL journey, questioning whether this was the same BBL from before or if she had gotten a new one. People started speculating if it was because of her recent pregnancy, weight changes, or another round of surgery. The TikToker didn't hold back, wondering if Cardi had gotten another round done, or if maybe her body just changed naturally after giving birth to her kids. They even pointed out how she used to look before, and how now things seem very different, especially when she performed wearing a tight blue bodysuit that made everything look extra noticeable. Her legs looked small, her hips and butt looked oversized, and the proportions just didn't seem to add up to a lot of people. This comment set off a chain reaction online with folks divided. Some defended her, while others jumped in to criticize her new look. What made things even more intense was Cardi B herself jumping on Instagram and firing back hard. She didn't just clap back with words, she gave details. Cardi shared that she had butt shots removed in January 2024, and she also revealed that during her pregnancy, she gained around 25 pounds. And most of it went straight to her hips and butt. She reminded everyone that she had just given birth 7 months ago and called out people who keep talking about women's bodies. She was clearly frustrated, saying how it's always women, not men, who go out of their way to body shame each other, especially when it comes to surgery. Cardi made it very clear that she hadn't gone back under the knife recently and said she's tired of people assuming that every time a woman looks different, it must be because of surgery. According to her, her current look is all natural, or at least the result of pregnancy weight gain, not new surgery. She also threw shade at the hypocrisy of people criticizing women for getting surgery while also wanting to do the same thing themselves. The drama didn't stop there, though, because just as her Instagram story was making waves, a new rumor started to spread. People at the Revolve Festival began whispering about something a lot more embarrassing than proportions, or surgery. They claimed Cardi B's BBL might actually stink. Yes, you read that right. Some festival goers were saying that when Cardi took the stage, her BBL looked not only oddly shaped and uneven, but also smelled bad. One woman even joked about how it was probably just humid backstage trying to play it off lightly, but the rumor didn't go away. It spread even faster than the body-shaming TikTok video, and people were dying to know if there was any truth to it. At first, it sounded like a crazy internet rumor, something people made up, just to be mean. But then, a plastic surgeon named Dr. Yoon posted a video on YouTube breaking down exactly why something like that might happen. He explained that BBLs, which involve transferring fat from one part of the body to the butt, can sometimes have side effects, especially if people don't take care of themselves after surgery. He said one of the most common issues is fluid drainage from incisions, which can cause a bad smell in the first few days or weeks after the procedure. However, he also said this kind of drainage usually stops after a couple of days. So if someone is still smelling bad months later, it's probably due to hygiene. Another plastic surgeon chimed in too and added that during the healing process, the body can go through some changes. Anesthesia, changes in metabolism, and even the presence of iron in the blood from surgery can all contribute to weird smells right after the procedure. But again, these smells are not supposed to last long. So if someone is walking around smelling funky weeks or months later, it's most likely not because of the surgery itself, but more about how they're taking care of themselves afterward. And let's be real, washing properly around a freshly enhanced body might not be the easiest thing in the world. Social media also threw in their 2 cents. Some users agreed that poor hygiene could be to blame.
Smell it. So I was wondering, is it the surgery that make the BBL smell? If you want a BBL, do you gotta sacrifice smelling like a bad bitch and smelling like 2 pounds of ass, really 10 pounds of ass for the rest of your life? You went from smelling like palm trees and cherry blossoms to 10 pounds of bounce that motherfucking monkey. Does getting a BBL insinuate that you're gonna stink for the rest of your life?
People are still talking about the BBL smell. Is it real? Well, I thought in my previous BBL smell video that I cleared it up, but apparently I didn't because there's still quite a bit of confusion out there. So let's finally get to the bottom of the BBL smell. Well, there are a lot of theories being circulated on social media about why the BBL just might smell. So let's start with 2 of the most popular hypotheses of the BBL smell.
Apparently, there's 2 reasons why the BBL smells. Due to you having to get those lymphatic massages and get the drainage, that causes a certain smell that lingers for about 4 to 6 weeks post-op. Even after that, girls with their newfound bottom can't either reach or don't know how to properly go around their new bum to get far enough in between the cheeks so they can wash properly.
So this lovely woman believes that the BBL smell is due to either 4 to 6 weeks of drainage from the incisions or from basically just bad hygiene, not being able to clean back there properly. Well, the fact is that drainage does occur after liposuction surgery. The incisions can drain fluid for usually a day or 2, and this is often the anesthetic fluid that we inject to perform the liposuction.
I didn't want to do it this way.
But this fluid really doesn't have much of a smell at all unless it gets infected. And it's extremely rare to see these incisions drain for honestly more than a day or 2. Now, in regards to her second theory of why BBL smell may be real, let's return to that a little bit later. And here's another potential cause of the BBL smell, as very eloquently described by this influencer.
What the f***? It smell like bounce the fuck that ass! It smell like bounce the fuck out of that ass! Oh, somebody been bouncing the fuck out some ass!
Now, if somebody does not wash their faja afterwards, it can definitely smell like a dumpster behind a Chinese restaurant. But I don't know that not washing the faja can explain why the BBL smell appears to happen to so many people. Often you wear the faja for a month, maybe 2 months after the surgery, but if you're getting a BBL smell for months or years later, then that's not necessarily due to the faja.
Oh my God, what is that smell?
Well, there are some doctors, specifically plastic surgeons, not including me, who have weighed in on why the BBL smell might be real. Let's take a peek at one doctor's explanation.
So what are the reasons of why a BBL would smell? Well, it really goes back to anybody that has surgery. So in general, when you get anesthesia done, anesthesia uses some different types of gases with some fluorine in them, and that kind of smells a little bit funky. So as you breathe that off, it is a little bit of a weird smell. I would say it doesn't smell normal. The second thing is, as you are healing, especially in that acute period, your body is changing a little bit in its metabolic profile. So you will notice metabolic changes in smells. My best example of this is actually for people that diet. When they really push carbs way low, they'll actually get into something called ketosis, and they'll actually make ketones out of their fat, and they'll actually breathe that ketones off, and that actually makes a fruity smell. Some people like it, some people don't. The third reason that a lot of people are going to smell from liposuction is that liposuction drains a lot of fluid. It's very, very normal. Now, in some of that fluid is going to be blood, which specifically is going to be iron. And iron is so important to your body because it helps to capture and hold oxygen in hemoglobin, that you smell iron all the time. If you can smell it, you're like, that smells kind of like iron.
Well, these are all true, and I do credit the good doctor for his in-depth analysis. Now, his first explanation about anesthesia and having those gases on your breath, that is true, but it only really lasts my experience, for several hours. Usually at least by the next day, that smell is gone. Now, as far as the drainage of blood causing a smell of iron and the metabolic changes, well, these really settle down within a matter of a couple of days, like I mentioned earlier about the drainage. And so that won't necessarily explain why you've got baddies in the clubs many months later who appear to have the BBL smell. So is it possible that the BBL smell is all just cap, that it's not real? Well, this next gentleman really presents himself as somebody who knows what he's talking about.
So my guy Don P says BBLs stink. I've had multiple women with BBLs. They don't stink, my dude. Now, the women who have the BBL might stink. It sounds like you had a case of some bad cooter.
Okay, so here's my take. There's nothing